What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Castorice's trailer, Epitaph. I'm very excited for this. I'm a big fan of Castorice, if you couldn't tell from my previous reactions. I'm going to be pulling for her tomorrow on stream when I'm streaming the main story after the update comes out at 7 p.m. PST, so feel free to check that out if you're interested. But otherwise, I won't delay any further, so feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and let's get into this. Alright, that's a really cool effect. Funeral 406.
Overflowing with the unclaimed possessions.
Jesus Christ, this is already a vibe.
In the silence, I sift through the memories of the departed, as if they are my own.
God. Her on top of a massive rib cage.
I dreamed of a sea of flowers.
Oh, fuck.
And a racing river.
Was that her friend?
Through it. Yet, all I can do is ferry the souls of the dead to the other side.
God.
Funeral 674. The war rages on, and death surges like a dark wave, chasing all who live. My only choice is to run with all I have.
Jesus. Ooh, the expansion.
Death, once a pair of hands, has also split us in two. Never
Oh,
to
her
touch
other
each
half,
other
yeah.
again. This journey has been so endless, so senseless. Yet even on the cold shore, will still be the scent of flowers.
The quiet. Oh, the sound is so good on this trailer. Netherwing. God. The oncoming tide. Jesus, that looks so good. Tearing through reality, God.
New life.
Oh, the transition between the two.
Death.
God. Ooh. There's so many good sounds happening here. Oh? Okay, I'm gonna need to look at that. Oh. Beautiful. Is that supposed to be her other half? Oh, the build. Oh. Huh.
Don't forget.
Oh.
Don't forget.
Oh, fuck. So I very much enjoy this trailer. It has a lot to it that I very much enjoy. A lot that speaks to what we have seen from her animated short and the Golden Epic PV that was about her, while also having a lot of aspects that those did not explore that I've been waiting to be brought up. The main thing being Castorice's other half. Early on after meeting her in the story, we had her mentioning something about her other half that she is searching for. And there is a lot in this trailer that speaks to that I have a lot to say about, but I'm going to go through this chronologically. So as we start, we have the framing device of essentially a diary or journal of Castorice, a record she is keeping of, as she calls them, funerals. Each person she has killed. That is what I take this to be. We open with Funeral 406, showing that already she has taken a lot of lives. We knew this, of course, but to put a number to it adds a certain degree of concreteness. And adding to this sort of written, journaled aesthetic is the fact that these words are scribbled onto the screen, as we have an interesting visual effect going on where technically what we have is this more widescreen ratio, but after this other border the detail is more lost. It becomes much more sketched, where within this center area, it is largely grayscale, but is more detailed than just sort of the scribbles of the sides. But following up on the previous line, funeral 406, the cabinets are overflowing with the unclaimed possessions of the dead, which makes me think that Castorice has been keeping at least some of the items of people who have died if they are not claimed, but that after so many dead, she cannot fit them all into her cabinets. She does not want to forget the lives she has taken, but it becomes harder and harder to keep those mementos. In the silence, I sift through the memories of the departed, as if they are my own. She finds herself looking to the lives that the people she has killed live, and she empathizes with them. She cannot help but look at these people's lives, see what they experienced, what they did, who they loved, and empathize with that in some way. And it's throughout this description that we have visually stuff that should realistically be sort of cute and fun, of her like poking her head outside of a box, balancing along something, things that in isolation should be sort of cutesy and fun, but in the context of, say, the thing that she is balancing on being the massive ribcage of some dead creature, alongside the lines being said of that she is burdened by the memories of all of these people she has killed. She does her best never to forget them because she does not want that to happen. She does not want to forget what she has done. Pairing these two visuals creates a bit of the contradiction of Castorice as a character. Not in a negative sense, but in the sense that from a character design standpoint, Castorice is a attractive and cute girl. They have her doing some cute little things to show that off, but at the same time, she is someone burdened by guilt and grief. Someone who has taken countless lives, or rather would be countless if it wasn't for the fact that she counts them. It's just an interesting contrast of visual to context. But we move on, time jumping forward. Funeral 562. And with this, the visuals have begun to break down to further reflect the weight of what she has experienced, of what is being talked about. Things are all on fire. She is lifting up the body of a dead loved one. I dreamed of a sea of flowers, paired with the visual of that person she's holding in her arms melting away as her cold icy hands destroy all sign of that person once living. And we never get a clear look of who this person is exactly, but given that they seem to have sort of grayish hair, it is entirely possible that this is supposed to be the friend of Castorice who we see her kill in an embrace from the animated short. Doesn't have to be, entirely could be though. But nonetheless, I dreamed of a sea of flowers and a racing river coursing through it. Yet all I can do is ferry the souls of the dead to the other side. She has dreamed of this idyllic space, a field of flowers with a river running through it, a place of calm, and yet she is incapable of staying to admire the place or to do anything other than guide people from life to death down this river of the dead. And it's with this that the visuals continue to further break down. This wave of abyssal darkness, initially looking like blood, surges forward. She runs from it as we once again jump ahead. Funeral 674. The war rages on, and death surges like a dark wave, chasing all who live. In many ways, this dark wave rushing after her is what she is talking about. Whether she is literally referring to the dark tide, this abyss that is engulfing Amphorius, or if she is just more generally speaking of tides of death that come with war, the imagery works all the same, and the meaning is still there. She is watching countless die, many by her hands. No one will truly escape it. But what I find interesting is this follow-up line, where everything else we have seen with Castorice from her animated short and the Golden Epic PV, it has always been her looking at others and seeing the futility of life, never really her own. She lives longer than others and seems to not really have that fear of death of herself, which is why I find this line interesting following the previous one, because the previous one is talking about how death comes for us all, no living thing will be able to escape this oncoming tide, but then she talks about how her only choice is to run with all I have, which could mean that she is fearful of her own death, but I feel like it is much more likely that this is more so her talking about running from this fate that she has to be this bringer of death. But ultimately, it's hard to say exactly what she's referring to necessarily. We can guess, like I just was, but this line gets cut off. She says until, and we don't have that statement finished as we move to the next part of the trailer. We do not see her fully fall as we see her blinking open her eyes as her feet are in shallow waves of water. She begins to look around as the music builds. The borders expand, and we hear a heartbeat as we see this massive egg-like thing, which we can see the silhouette inside of the Netherwing. We now transition from where the rest of this trailer so far has been about a lot of the stuff we've seen already. Now we begin to touch on the directly personal Castorice stuff relating to her other half. The first sign of which is this line, "Death, once a pair of hands, has also split us in two." Castorice is the hand of death, the hand of Thanatos, but hands come in pairs. Castorice came in a pair, but something has split her and her other half apart. And if this line is to be believed, death itself is what split them. To jump ahead a bit and acknowledge some later visuals that I will talk about more once we see them, there is visuals implying that Castorice had a twin sister in the womb, potentially. That, if I'm to throw out ideas, perhaps that twin died before being born or shortly after, whether due to Castorice's curse or otherwise. It would be incredibly tragic if it was due to that curse, but also realistically in that case her mother would have died probably before she was even born, so the logistics there get a little complicated. But the idea still stands as a possibility of this sister that never was able to grow up or even be born potentially, and Castorice views it as her missing other half. That is a possibility. And given that the ending of that sentence is never to touch each other again, it is entirely possible that, regardless of when it happened, Castorice developing this curse, this touch of death, is what killed her sister, if this is truly a sister scenario. Which would work with this line in the sense that, quite literally, they can never touch each other again because her touch killed her. So on two levels, first off, she's dead, so Castorice can never touch her again, but simultaneously, even if she were still alive, another touch would merely kill her still. But she continues on from this statement as we have some really cool visuals of this actually 2D effect of the water roiling and twisting and spinning around this egg, and that imagery being intercut with her approaching it. This journey has been so endless, so senseless. She has lived for generations for no other purpose than fulfilling death, and she does not understand why. She sees no end in it, she sees no sense in it. But mixed into the visuals, we very briefly get imagery of what I believe is Pollux, which in my current theories, I believe that Pollux and the Netherwing memo sprite that she summons are one and the same, or at the very least one becomes the other. And also alongside this, given the mythological inspirations of the names Castorice and Pollux being Castor and Pollux, I also believe that Pollux is in some form the other half that Castorice is searching for, which I suppose if I'm getting into my own personal theories right now, I'll just elaborate so that I can tap into this throughout this analysis. I'm sort of predicting that in the story, we will have Castorice alongside us, presumably, facing Pollux, defeating it, and in some way communing with it as she realizes that it is her other half, whatever that means, and effectively taking some form of it, even if it is just a reflection of a memory, and that is what becomes her memo sprite in her kit. This entirely could be disproved literally just by us being able to play as her in the story before that moment, but even then that wouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker, but I'm getting off topic now. My main point though is just that I believe that Pollux the boss, Netherwing the summon, and whatever originally her other half was, are all at least in part one and the same. And I believe this is backed up to a degree in this trailer by the fact that we have the egg that clearly has the design of Netherwing in it, but then as she's approaching it, we get a flash first of Pollux, followed by this flash of light into this Castorice lookalike, this potential sister. We can tell that it's not identically her because her outfit is different, and I can't tell if this is actually just part of her hair or some ornament, but there's this either like streak of black or hairpin or something here that don't match anything we've ever seen Castorice in. So that quick succession of visuals and associations points me further towards my theory of Castorice having a sister or something that died in some form, either becomes Pollux or Pollux is an extension of them, and then Pollux becomes the Netherwing or something related to Pollux is what manifests the Netherwing. Sort of one leading into another is sort of the idea I'm getting here. But to move on, she continues from her point of how endless and senseless this constant death is by saying, yet even on the cold shore will still be the scent of flowers. No matter how pointless all of this death is, no matter how endless it is, no matter how much I hate this cycle, the fact that I must send so many people across the river, when standing on the shore of the River of the Dead, the scent of flowers is still there. There is a sweetness there. But once that line finishes and the chorus comes back, the egg cracks, and where before it had the Netherwing in it, now it has this other Castorice, her sister, as I'm going to refer to her going forward. I might be wrong on that front, but I'm going to stick with it until I have something prove me otherwise. And this certainly does not point me to think I'm wrong. It absolutely paints a picture that there is a connection between this person and the Netherwing and potentially Pollux. This dragon we saw within the egg, once the egg cracks open, it is this person, this sister of Castorice, potentially. But then after we see that crack open in that person, we see nothing but Netherwing come out. As Castorice sinks down into the water, Netherwing is in the skies and decimates the people on top of the waters. Of course, those were monsters, but it is decimating them nonetheless. This surging tide comes towards Netherwing, but it just becomes enraged, tearing reality asunder, opening up the skies, and just devastating all. It is a show of power fitting for death itself. And what I absolutely love about it is as Netherwing batters reality with its sheer power, we transition to Castorice sinking deeper into the waters. It's this mirroring of Netherwing and Castorice. One rises to the sky, omnipotently powerful, destroying all in its path, an embodiment of death itself. The other, a girl sinking into darkness. They are two sides of the same whole. Castorice may just be a normal girl who wants nothing more than to be able to have true bonds with people and not have the risk of killing someone with a touch, but she is also the servant of death. She is both of these things. But as she speaks up again after that visual, we have the line new life or death, and death matching her touching the surface of the water. An association of her touch and death once again. But we see as Netherwing just further obliterates the terrain, this massive explosion going off as butterflies surround Netherwing. It dives into the waters towards Castorice. As she hits the bottom of the waters, this beast of pure death and oblivion gently nudges her. This being of pure destruction, of pure death, seems to have a gentleness for Castorice. And if I am right in my theories that this is by some degrees of separation her other half, that would make sense. It would make complete sense. But it's here where the two come together finally in this trailer, where we begin to see visions of Castorice and this other person, of potentially her sister. We see a pinky promise. The two of them on the shores of a beach. Remarkably enough, her sister is in a wheelchair. An interesting detail. Based on what we saw in the animated short when she was a child, we do not see any sign of her sister if she truly had a sister, which makes me think that this is likely not something that truly happened. It is more so a dream, a wish. What complicates that is the wheelchair element. It makes it feel a bit more real, as if truly Castorice was dreaming of being able to be together with her sister. Why would she be dreaming of her being reliant on a wheelchair? So I don't necessarily know if I should take this as reality or just a dream. I'm more inclined, though, towards dream or wish being what this is, given the fact that what we are seeing here consistently is Castorice making contact with this person physically. That could not happen unless they are a corpse, or this isn't real. So I'm inclined to think that this is a life, perhaps, that Castorice wished for the two of them to have. And to continue my general theory of the association of this sister with Netherwing and such, as this shot of her turning around, presumably face Castorice, is just completely consumed by this blinding light. It fades into the dragon Netherwing, curling around her, sheltering her as she sleeps. For a brief moment, everything begins to go gray, but then she opens her eyes and color returns. She is now in the field of flowers, and she dances. Now, I will acknowledge this image we have of the two of them happily laying together next to each other, but then surrounded by Netherwing, does complicate my theory, potentially. But it also could be metaphorical, could be an embodiment of the wish that Castorice holds for such a thing. In reality, she is surrounded by the Netherwing, but in spirit, she is with her sister. That is a possibility. And if I were to try to make sure that my theory holds water in this context, that is the interpretation I would give. I am open to other theories, but this is just what speaks to me the most. She continues to dance. As petals of a flower circle and unwind as we sink into waters once more, we're pulled in to show this bubble encasing these two children, these two babies, holding hands, one with a butterfly in her hair, another holding a flower. This is ultimately the core of me thinking that it was her sister that this other half was. Because I mean, what else would this visual be representing? This represents almost certainly two children in the womb. If anyone thinks otherwise, I'd be curious to hear what you think it is. Very legitimately so. But from there, we watch as her journal closes. She reaches out to it, a butterfly landing on her finger, as she transitions back to the field of flowers. As if rather than truly a book, maybe it is merely just her memory. But with this, she looks up and cries. As water distorts our image, and she says, "Don't forget." And just to make sure we know to not forget, she repeats it again. She cannot forget the lives she has taken or this other half she has lost and is searching for. These are things she must not forget, but that is where things are left. And I absolutely love this trailer. It points to so many things that I already found amazing about her character, as well as my own personal theories. But with that, I've said the core of what I want to say. Anything else would be more general rambling, so I will leave it there. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and feel free to check out my live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. PST to see me pull for Castorice and play the main story, ideally getting through all of it, but the Emphoria story is really fucking long. But I would nonetheless hope to see all of you join me. I hope you all had a good day. Bye-bye.